Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Chosen Ones. This is going to be a good one. You are in for a treat. I have Kyieme on the show today. He is based out of New Jersey, and we have some pretty interesting things to talk about that I'm very passionate about myself and really looking forward to it. I have to put a quick disclaimer out here, and even for you, Kyieme, usually it's 10 a.m. and usually I'm up at 5 a.m. and I do I go for a walk and I do a workout and I'm ready to rock and roll. Today I legit my week has been chaos. I rolled it. I just been running with my hair straight back all week, and then I just crashed last night at about midnight, and I rolled out of bed at 9 today and pretty much jumped on the mic here. But I feel incredible.
It's all good, man.
But I can hear it in my voice. It's like I'm that kind of like I'm still having my coffee and whatnot, but I must have needed it because I feel incredible. But full disclosure.
That's good. That's good that you feel incredible, though.
Yeah, for sure. Sleep is important. So
yep.
Kyieme is on the show here. The reason I've asked him to come on is, as a lot of my listeners and followers know, I'm a keener. And so Kyieme, I'm a coach, but I'm also quite passionate about other things like volunteering and activism, and making a positive impact in the world is kind of the key ingredient I look for of inviting people on my show, and people who are enjoying their life and making a difference and making an impact. And when I saw what you were up to, I know it took us a while to connect to get you on here. I'm glad we did, because as soon as I saw what you were doing, I knew that I had to get you on and discuss this with you. So
appreciate it.
For everyone to know, Kyieme is the creator of a new app, which is called the Bear Witness app. And I'm going to let you explain a little bit how it all came about, but I can just imagine, as most of us, with what's happened in the past year alone, something needs to change, and we need to do something different, and we need to take it upon ourselves to do these things. We can't just sit back and say, this is broken and someone needs to fix it. We need to take responsibility for the change we want to see. And I'm really appreciative of you because you did exactly that. And I'm not going to ramble here the whole show. I'll give you a chance here. So why don't you, first of all, if you don't mind, let us know, including myself, exactly what the Bear Witness app is. And then later I'm going to bug you a little bit about your own story and who you are also.
Okay. Sounds good. So, again, I'm Kyieme White. I created the Bear Witness app. It is Bear. How can I put it? I'll start with the acronym, because a lot of people don't realize it's an acronym.
I didn't even know. Here we go.
Witness. Yeah. So it's bystanders exercising American rights. That's what I came up with. That was like the breakdown of it. And the right to basically just, bear witness to police activity in our communities and things of that nature. Any type of interaction with law enforcement, that, we should have the right to just make sure that we're holding both sides accountable, along with the people that are, possibly being apprehended in these situations as well. But, the reason why I was adamant about creating something like this around the time when George Floyd and Breonna Taylor situations happened, I just kind of felt like, those are situations where, individuals shouldn't have died. And a lot of situations are like that. So we just kind of wanted to create something that was more of a preventability mechanism that would allow us to get in front of, the whole justice thing, not trying to fight for justice once somebody's already gone and their family can no longer get them back. Just hopefully be able to create a presence on every, scene in these incidents around the country, that, we can just help impact and hold each other accountable, and just something. I just felt like it was something necessary. And I'm somewhat of a creative guy. So, my brain started working in a creative way, and the marketing and the branding part just came to me naturally, the color scheme and everything like that. And then we had to make sense of it, the functionality and making sure everything ran perfectly. So that's how I got started with it when that situation happened. So it hasn't been out. I didn't work on it very long. It's been probably under a year. Yeah, it's been under a year since I even had the idea. So now we're completely live and launched, and that's where we are now.
Nice, man. It's incredible. And I love the idea of just bringing together people who are passionate about change and making the world a better place, and using the skills that we have to do that. So if you're a creative person, you know how to do that. Someone like Sean King, for example, which is where I saw your article originally, someone who has that platform and that voice is doing their part. Like, we all need to kind of be coming together and doing our thing. And I know when you reached out to me originally, you mentioned, we haven't launched this in Canada yet. This is, we're just in the States, but it's, we're sitting over here and we have the exact same problems. We're dealing with the exact same stuff going on here. And it's not about what's going on over there and them and us. It's this is a human rights and a civil rights problem. And we are all one. It's all one love. So when I see what happens over there, I'm as passionate about it as my fellow human being as anyone. So it's never really occurred to me. Some people have kind of mentioned, we have our own problems here, and sure we do, but I'm still very vocal on both parts because, if we create change in one area, we create change everywhere in a lot of cases. And I know there's some powerful movements that started in the States. I know qualified immunity has been a big movement that's happening over there. And I reached out to them and I said, hey, I just want to get involved however I can. And I was asking them about the whole qualified immunity situation, if we even have that here in Canada. And they say, actually, we don't really know much about it. So I researched it, and we do have the same problem. We have the same rule here, which for anyone who doesn't know is essentially the thing that makes it impossible to sue an officer for anything. And just to clarify, and I know I don't need to say this, but there are good cops out there. This is about holding accountability to the ones that aren't, so that we can actually respect and appreciate the good ones again, because right now Absolutely. There's such a blurred line. So this isn't a thing of, we're coming after you. This is about just making things right and holding respect and holding accountability is the number one thing. But anyways, with that and qualified immunity, I realized that there's no one running that here in Canada. So I actually reached out to them and spoke with them and decided that I'm going to be spearheading that movement here as well. That's because awesome. Because it's the same That's thing. Awesome. So, and we all need to work together, and any resources that we're learning over there, and we're going to do the same here. So, even if you're doing it in the States, to bring awareness to what you're doing is so important. And we are dealing with the exact same problems here in Vancouver and here in Canada. It's a massive issue. And, some of these big, large movements that were involved with the storming the Capitol and whatnot. I mean, a lot of those people involved, Proud Boys, and a lot of these things are based out of Canada. So it's we can't sit here and be like, what's going on over there? We are just as much in this as anyone, and we need to work together. And it's all about, I hate how it's a term of that we're activists, when essentially it's just, no, we just believe in fellow human rights and basic rights of people. Why am I a 1% of the people for being passionate about this subject?
Right. It shouldn't even have to be a thing. You know what I mean? It
totally.
should be, like you said, basic human and civil rights. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So, but that's enlightening to me though that you touched on that, because I wasn't aware of the climate in Canada like that. I didn't know much. So that's enlightening, and that's helping me become more aware of that. So, and like you said, it is not you guys sitting over there and we just dealing with our own problems, and we sitting over here and you dealing with your own problems. We're all one, no matter where we are in this world. To be honest, people should have the fair right to have a good life. You know what I mean? They should have a fair chance to have a good life. So you're right on point with that one.
Absolutely. And it's it's about coming together and seeing what works and changing the things that are not working in our system. And if we can do that, then we kind of share those resources. And it's I mean, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, because I grew up in just on the border of Detroit. I have some good friends from the States that I grew up with my whole life, and I know for most of you over there, you don't know much about us in general, let alone
right.
We don't have states, we got provinces. We're just friendly people that eat poutine.
right.
But so tell us a little bit, including myself, how does the app physically work? What is the app all about? What does it do?
Okay. So the functionality of it and everything's pretty much clear cut. It's simple. We didn't create it for it to be like some super social tool. We wanted to use it to be resourceful and to have people be able to go in and look at things that they can find useful to themselves, whether it be legal representation, mental health services. We want to be able to funnel all those different resources in there. But essentially, the way the app is supposed to work is, say you have an encounter with law enforcement and you feel like, even if you don't feel like, at this point, you never know what it can escalate to, but you just want some type of witness support or, support from your community, there's a button, the alert button, that will send out an alert to any subscriber in your area, depending on the radius, because it's supposed to be like immediate impact. So I'm not going to send a alert to someone who's in Pennsylvania if I'm in New Jersey, because they won't get it. Just doesn't make sense, right? Mm-hmm. So people in your area, no matter where you are, so even if you do go to Detroit, and there's people that's subscribed all around Detroit, and you send that alert out, they'll get that alert. Even if you're from New Jersey, you're now in Detroit, and you'll be connected to those people in those areas. So they come out, and you were prompted with the option to record immediately. If you go to straight recording, it is still send out an alert. And that's all it essentially really is, to get people, and people will be prompted with your location, and that will take them to their GPS, and they'll be able to come to your exact location where you are, and offer their witness support and things like that. And they can put in description notes of the incident, officer badge numbers and things like that, just to give other fellow bears that might be on their way in pursuit to that incident, just an idea of what's going on in the climate of the situation. So that's essentially what it is right there. It's like on-site protesting, rather than waiting until somebody gets killed and we show up and then we start marching and stuff, which is still important, but we want to prevent these things.
Man, that is incredible. I didn't know that was actually what the basis of it is. And a lot of these times I kind of research, and I don't want to learn all of it, because I prefer to have the conversation with you like this and share it with everyone, because if we have it beforehand, then some parts tend to get left out. But so I didn't really know exactly how it worked, but that is incredible. I thought it was simply, you it's like a recorder on your phone and maybe it goes to somewhere. I didn't realize about the resources. I didn't realize about the radius. That is huge, because that is when, if you're by yourself and you're outnumbered and it's your word against a law officer, is good luck to you. So the fact that you are bringing in these witnesses, that is really an incredible idea in the sense of who's nearby. And I think the key is that is built, and that is an incredible incredible thing to use. It's just a matter, now we got to get people on board, so when these alerts go out, there are people who are going to be coming by and supporting, and just simply and for me, kind of one of the things that I've been really interested in here in my area is, and in the world in general, is there's all of these movements, huge powerful movements, but we need to figure out a way that we can all come together, because when our voice becomes one, the bigger our voice and the louder we are, the more powerful we are. So that's kind of like, it's incredible that we have so many passionate people, but we need to figure out a way to put everyone together, because then you can't ignore us. And that's exactly what you're doing. And even the fact of having the Bear Witness app, of creating that community, once that thing catches fire, as I'm sure it will, that'll be a great place for everyone to be together, of simply just saying, this isn't right, and the fact that we have to go to these preventative measures isn't right in the first place. But the reality is, this is what it is, and we need to take measures in our own hands to protect ourselves. And Absolutely. That's incredible, man. That is such a great idea.
Appreciate it.
It's very new. And as all great things, it's probably a very exciting time for you in the building. You're probably running into all kinds of issues as we do in the
figuring it out.
How is it so far? Do you have is there kind of like subscribers on board? Do you have people involved with it? Is it picking up traction? How's it going so far?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're growing every day. We're growing. Once we did an interview with the North Star by Sean King. And that helped us out a lot, tremendously, because he's like, that's his, his platform. And a lot of people that actually care and that are for the cause are connected to that platform. So that helped us out tremendously. So we've definitely been seeing some growing numbers. And that's what we expect for it to continue to do, as we just continue to, just market and promote it. We just know, like, that's necessary. You got to get it out. We got to get the word out to people to make them aware of what we are and what we're trying to do. And ultimately just make people feel like, create that trend of not feeling like you're alone. So I feel like people need to feel like, is there actually other people coming outside? I don't want to be the only, person, but you got to look at the, the recent situations, and there's always been people on the scenes, but there's never been something that's actually called people to the scene. So, you know what I mean? And as far as a platform goes. So that's what we're trying to.
And in that exact area, that is such a, that's it is incredible. And for the movement and for people who are passionate about this, hopefully you have no problem on getting some of these large platforms. I mean, shout out for Sean, and he just cares so much about people that for him to do something like that, and everyone who follows him is, yeah. And, just keep getting on those platforms. I can't see anyone saying no to something like that of getting it out there, because it will catch fire and it will work. It'll be very powerful in large numbers.
Thank you.
One of the things that I was kind of thinking of, because I also I was having the same idea as you, as what can we do? I'm kind of similar in the sense of being creative. You definitely took things to the next level than I did, but I was thinking about a brief idea at one point, because you see these videos. I mean, nowadays with technology and social media, you see these videos live and it's like, I watch one and it puts me down for 3 days, because it's just, to see something like, I mean, the fact that it should do that to everyone, because it's just so brutal what we're seeing, but
takes a toll.
Yeah. And some of those you see, and one of the common things, and I think one of the common reasons, or where there's some confusion, and even on the side of an officer's perspective of protecting themselves, there's something that happens in these situations that I feel that is a big problem. And one of those things is, I think because one of our ways of protecting ourselves, if we're in a situation where we feel like things could go either way, is to record the situation. Because if it's just your voice versus someone else's, good luck, like we talked about. And a lot of times that means that if someone is in a position where, if there's an officer coming up towards them, if they're kind of just rolling up in the car or whatever, the first instinct we want to do is we want to grab our device and we want to record. The issue with doing that is now we're putting our hand in our pocket, and I can see the side of an officer of saying, okay, this isn't good. And it's almost like 80% of these stories we're hearing, that's a total random number, but most of these stories we're hearing, they were reaching for something, and then, like, I've seen some videos within the last 6 months of the officer rolls up, within 5 to 10 seconds the person's shot. Now, who knows what actually happens, but if the case is the person's reaching in their pocket, probably to grab their phone, because all of these people, they find later, never had a weapon on them, and they're not even guilty of anything half the time. But they're reaching in their pocket to grab their phone. So there's this issue where, of course, if you're an officer trying to save your own life and you're dealing with this every single day, of course you have the perspective of, I need to protect myself. And if someone puts their hand in their pocket to grab their phone to start filming, and they think it's a weapon, bad things can happen. The thought that I had is, I wonder if there is a way, and I don't want to take it to this level, but they have these cool spy stores where they have, like, you can get those tiny cameras and stuff. But is there a way, and it's incredible that we need to have this conversation to take things to this level, it's just ridiculous, but a way to film things without having to go in our phone, without having to go in our pocket and get our phone, because as soon as you do that, it's like, who knows what's going on at that point, where it's like you can record, and maybe people are recording without even having to have their phone and showing it, where it's like, I think really recording is the most powerful thing we can do, because I mean, we still have trouble with video footage of in the world of criminal justice, even with that, but at least it's way better than nothing. But I think that is the moving forward, is we need to start filming more until the real change happens, like ending qualified immunity and these things. But anyways, when I saw what you were doing, I was at that time, I was thinking about, how is there a way that we can film without being in the position, because by the time you want to start filming it, there's already an officer involved, and you don't want to be reaching in your pockets, and it's a totally different idea than what you're doing. But I just wanted,
no, that's definitely that definitely will, I can see that being useful and impactful too. But again, that's something that has to be created, and that's what we got to do. We got to create these things, you know what I mean? Anything that could be a part of the solution, it helps, you know what I mean? But just to touch on that real quick, even like you said, reaching for your phone, I didn't get to mention, but we also incorporated something in our app called Bear Tips. So we have like about 5 bear tips. We plan to add more as time goes on. But this is just because we focus on that little short moment that things go wrong. Like you said, within 5 minutes, people are getting killed, after, being stopped by officers. So the bear tips are, and we encourage people to read them ahead of time, you know, get familiar with them, so you're not trying to read in the midst of this whole, you know, tense situation.
Hold on, sir.
So yeah, yeah, exactly. So the 5 bear tips is, the first one is take a deep breath. That's a simple, common mechanism that we want to encourage people to start doing more, because we understand that a lot of people, they get tense as soon as they see law enforcement. They're just like, you know, they have a short tolerance when it comes to dealing with them. So like, to be accountable on our end, like, let's take a deep breath, let's calm ourselves, let's calm our mind, let's calm our emotions and control our situation. Second, bear tip is try to be as polite as possible. You know what I mean? Don't give the officer a hard time. Don't give him any excuse to, you know, use any excessive force or to inflict harm on you or anyone else. Third bear tip is be transparent. So if you are going to reach for something, make sure you're making that known. You're being, you know, very clear about any action that you're about to take, or any move or motion that you're about to make, and just try to cooperate. You know what I mean? The biggest thing is, like, also, all right, number 4 is I believe it's educate yourself. So that's where we're going to funnel in those resources. Like, when we start connecting with more organizations that already have these resources available, like legal representation and mental health services and things of that nature, we're going to funnel those, and just knowing your laws based off, you know, what part of the world or country you're in, and then alert your fellow bears. Make sure you hit that app, because like you said, you know, sometimes you won't be able to be the one recording. But if you could hit a button that alerts people and let them do that while you worry about just making it out of this situation, then, you know, that kind of helps, you know, a little bit with you not having to feel the pressure of feeling like if you reach for your phone, you might get shot, or the officer feeling like if you reach for your phone, I feel like my life is in jeopardy. So those are some of the things that we try to incorporate to try to help with that. But we know, like, every situation is not going to be perfect. Our whole plan is to just try to decrease the amount of times that these things go wrong. You know what I mean? I feel like if we can get people just geared and thinking that way, then we can definitely make an impact, and a lot of these situations will, you know, have a better result at the end.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about education, and even for me, of learning what our rights are. You know, the most important is the first 3 that you mentioned, of take a breath, don't be, you know, lipping off or giving any reason whatsoever. But I think education is so important, and we need to take that upon ourselves, of what are our rights, when are we obligated to have to give ID, when, you know, and all of these situations. And it's not to be, I don't look at it from a perspective of trying to be difficult, but we have rights for a reason. And it also shows that we're educated. So when you start having a conversation with an officer, you get pulled over and you start talking from a perspective of knowing your rights, the conversation is going to go much different, as opposed to if they don't think that they, you know, that you don't know what you're talking about, because they are going to try to get more out of you in that case, for sure.
Absolutely. And that's a better way of holding them accountable, so they're not abusing any authority or, you know, your lack of knowledge. They're not abusing that either. So definitely educating yourself is something that I even, you know, aspire to continue to do and to learn more about, just so, you know, like you said, that's power right there in those type of situations.
Yeah. And knowing, like, I just read this, you know, for the first time. It's funny, growing up, and it wasn't as big of an issue, but like now knowing, like, I need to protect what my rights are, and learning about why we're given these rights in the first place for the first time in my entire life. Maybe in school I did it once, but I don't think so. But last year I was actually on the government website reading specifically what all my rights are as a human being. And that, like, the fact that that's something that is never talked about in our lives is interesting. Hopefully it's because it never needed to be talked about, but now it does. Now it is a question of, we are fighting for these rights, and we're seeing that on a first case basis all the time. And this,
absolutely,
you know, I'm an optimistic person. I'm a pretty happy guy for the most part, but some days it's very difficult to be a part of this society and this world and what we've created, man. It's like,
absolutely,
it's painful. We can't trust our government. We can't trust the people that we pay to protect us, who are out there to serve and protect us. It's like, what have we created here, and why is no one wanting to make it better? And why is no one's, and I have to be careful here and I've done this on past episodes, when I get passionate about something, because I know people don't share the same views and aren't as passionate about it as I am, but I'm still this is my platform, so I'm going to speak how I feel like I need to speak. But, you know, I understand where people come from if they don't get involved in some of these important conversations, with Black Lives Matter and all the things that happened last year. But I do side on, by being silent, we definitely aren't helping. And
Mhm.
if you're not saying anything, part of me does feel like you are saying something. And because
Mhm.
it's for anyone, and there's a million different situations that we need to be sticking up for each other for, where we have to be brave and use our voice. Like, I combine my website, for example, which I just finished recently, but I have my coaching is kind of on there, and it talks a little bit about that. My volunteering, and I do youth coaching here as well, and my activism is on there. And I know for sure with my posting on social media, with Facebook and Instagram, that because I am quite vocal about my activism passion as well, that takes a
Mhm.
lot away from if I was just, the world's a great place, let's better ourselves. So I'm very aware that by having this voice, we it's not, you're not a popular person in a lot of cases, even if you're standing up for what's right, because of the
Yep.
controversy involved. Even if you are saying, I think people deserve to live,
Mhm.
the thing that
Right.
everyone thinks, but if you say it, there are so many different perspectives in the world that you are creating tension somewhere, and it does create, no matter what, some issues. And
Right.
so I see why people don't necessarily speak up and they don't want to get involved, but I think we need to be brave, and we need to say, things are not right, and that's the least we can do. And I've really learned this last year of the power of our voice, the power of um protesting, and simply just awareness of having the conversation online and sticking up for other people, how powerful that
Absolutely.
can really be. But then we have absolute rock stars like yourself who are saying, okay, we have that going on, let's really take these things to the next level, and design things like you do. But yeah, it's just sorry, I kind of went on a bit of a
No, no,
sidewinder there, but yeah.
no, it's all valid though, man. That's all valid. And like you said, the protesting, the petitioning, the marching, all that stuff is very essential because it gets people aware. When Ahmaud Arbery um got killed, I was listening to one of Sean King's podcasts, and he was talking about how he started the petition, and he made, like, it went viral immediately when he had people signing off and calling in, to get these guys charged and things like that. And so that's still part of the fight. And my part that I'm trying to contribute to is the day-to-day emergencies. Like, they can't be everywhere, but if we can help make them aware of situations, because they want to help everywhere, like people like Sean King and others, powerful organizations and movements, they want to help everywhere, but they can't, they're not aware of every situation everywhere. So if we can, like you said, create that network where we're all on one accord, then we can help just support each other as much as possible, and it's just a better fight for us. A lot of things won't slip through the cracks, a lot of things won't slip through the holes, because we'll be just more organized. And that's what it's all about, is becoming more organized, and being on one accord. So it's as discouraging as it can be sometimes, because the powers that be are so powerful, and can be so brutal and knock you back down when you take a few steps forward. um we have no choice but to keep fighting. So that's what we're
Yeah,
here for.
yeah, man. And
We have no other option.
it's just there, it's something inside of, I think, of a lot of people, where you just can't be quiet. It's not like, hey, today I feel like, I love talking about anything, and today this is my topic. It's like, I'm not someone who can just, like, something. This has clearly been a problem for many, 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 many years. It always has been a
Mm-hmm.
problem. um but last year was just an awakening of what's really going on a new level for myself personally, where something inside of me snapped, where I just couldn't go back and not say anything. It's just like, I just can't. And
Yeah,
sometimes it
for
is
sure.
easier to say nothing. Sometimes you create arguments and you don't want to, and you are not the popular person, but you can't. And there's something about just listening to your heart and speaking that passion, that you have to do it. You can't
Right.
silence yourself if that's what you believe in. And that's why it's just another part of who I am as a human being. Is I'm not just a coach, or just this guy from Vancouver, or a volunteer or an activist. I'm all of these things, and this is just a part of who I am as a human being. And it all comes back to making the world a better place and helping each other, and everyone should want that.
Absolutely.
But this is a good segue for typically one of the reasons for this podcast is giving a platform to, even though we're young at the moment, so we're still new, but you're one of the originals that came on, so I do appreciate it. And we are going to take this thing to the top, so we will come back for you.
Glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, we'll be getting you back on for sure. The goal here is to give a platform and a voice to people who are doing great things, making an impact, making the world a better place in all kinds of ways. And a big part of that of this podcast is I want to learn about the human being who is this person. Now, this episode is going to be a little different in how I ask this question, because I feel like you and I are very similar. And the question is typically, how did you kind of get on this path of creating something like this? Now, I'm cautious of asking that question because, like myself, I think the answer is probably, how can you not? We had to do something. We've been put in a position where we don't have a choice anymore. We have to create change. But I'm still going to try to dig in a little bit to learn more about you, in the sense of, like, you are clearly someone who is passionate about helping others, making the world a better place, standing up for other people. Tell us a little bit about your story. Let's rewind and go back a little bit and tell us who you are and where you came from and what you're up to, and how such an amazing person who is changing the world today came to be.
Okay. So, just pretty, I'm a regular guy, man. I work regular 9 to 5, truthfully. Again, I'm just always been someone who's been ambitious. And like I said, I've had creative ability. I've drawn growing up. I used to draw a lot. I'm not too much into it now. I do it with my kid. Also, I'm a father of a 4-year-old. So,
4-year-old. That's a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 9 to 9.
Absolutely. That's a 24/7. So so getting on this path to create something like this, man, honestly, when I get to a point, every time I reach a certain point in my life, I look back and I reflect, and I'm just like, everything mattered. Everything that ever happened, everything I ever experienced, whether good or bad, the highs and lows of life, I feel like everything mattered and contributed. So I wouldn't change anything. And that's what's got me here. You know what I mean? That's what's helped me to be genuine, compassionate, empathetic for people, because I've been on like a lot of sides of different situations. So I know it's cliche to say I'm a real person. Doesn't mean I'm perfect at all. It just means that I'm understanding, I'm aware, and I try to be as genuine as possible. So getting it was just basically even though it was a different lane, a lane that I never really been in, especially creating an app and developing an app, it was still the same passion and the same ambition. I just had to figure out the process, and my creativity took part in that as well. So it made sense to me, you know what I mean? Especially, like I said, with everything going on, I realized, like, what is something that we can use, and I felt like if there is something out there like this, why don't I know about it? You know what I mean? Like, why isn't more people in the world aware of it? You know what I mean? So it must not be that impactful yet, or it must not exist. So that's what I came up with. Just something that, like I said, it just made perfect sense to me when I got to that point in that thought process. And yeah, man, I'm fearless too when it comes to a lot of things. I'm not afraid to try things, and a lot of people around me that know me can attest to that. They know, like, I'm always getting to something, or I'm always trying to develop something or do something or make sense of something, because I can't lie dormant. I can't stand still. I got to keep moving forward. So that's just who I am to the core.
That's a great point about always creating, always doing something like that, because I think that's a big piece of the puzzle of enjoying that, doing something that we enjoy doing, and enjoying that part of the process. Because if it's always just and I've talked about this in the past, but if it's always something we're just looking at the end result, it's hard to get there. But if you're just doing something because you truly enjoy doing it and you truly enjoy creating, it's going to turn into something because you're in it for that reason. I have to with your 9 to 5, you mentioned that you've always been a creative person. Do you still get to express that creativity in your current job, or is this like a newfound rebirth of that, finding that creativity that you once had again?
Well, yeah, I mean, even with my 9 to 5, I've always had, outside endeavors outside of work, things that allow me to really express my creativity, even if it's not like painting or something, there's always different ways that I can express my ability to just make the best of whatever it is that I'm trying to do. And I feel like that comes down to my creative ability. And even at work, like right now, I'm a sanitation engineer. I drive trucks, the garbage truck. And even with that, like anybody that works with me, they know I'm a lively person. They know like this is not just my life. I'm not like beat down. I'm not like I got high energy every day. You know what I mean? Because I look forward to what I have outside of this place. You know what I mean? So I think in every aspect of my life, like I said, my energy doesn't change. I'm always on the up and up. You know what I mean? Obviously, like you said, there's days where it might be a little rough around the edges, but that doesn't stop anything. That's just part of the process.
It's when I was I don't know how old, 4 or 5 years old, my dad always reminds me of this, but he said they all, as you do when you're young, you ask your kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I wanted to be a garbage man because I didn't have to wear a seatbelt and I could ride on the back of the truck.
A lot,
So
a lot of kids want to be garbage man. They write me notes and everything, like cards and stuff. Like they want to
yeah,
be like me. I'm like, that's cool.
yeah, it's
So,
and I totally agree. And it's great that I think what's important, because also with this podcast, is discovering our purpose and living life with passion and living life on fire, and how important that is. And that doesn't have to mean that you're doing this in your job and this is how you make a living necessarily, as long as you're doing that in your life. And I think it's a great lesson for people to learn from you, that you can still do the job, but you have to still implement what you are passionate about and create, and be creative if that's who you are. But I've really been on a path of learning about expression, and I really think all of us need to express ourselves as a human being. I think we need to express ourselves in certain ways. Like even when I started this podcast, I thought this is great. I have so many voices in my head. It's, even if no one's listening, to talking to a microphone,
right.
it's very therapeutic for me. But
Absolutely.
and it can mean like anything. It can mean anything for anyone. And I think a big problem with I've had people on here in the past where we've been talking about addictions and all these different things. And one of the big problems I think a lot of people have, if they end up in a place where they may not be happy in life or on the right path, or for whatever it might be, I think, sorry, emails popping off. That should be muted. Reminding me that we're still, I was in a world there for a sec, like bringing me back to reality. But I think it's, one of the problems of people who might be in a hard place sometimes is not having that ability to express themselves. And I know a lot of times with, if something happened to us when we were younger, or with addictions, that one of the things is no one ever listened to us, or we didn't have a chance to express ourselves. So it's whether we do that through creativity, or through a podcast, or through music, or sports, or through our work, or giving back and helping people. I think we do need to be finding a way to express ourselves. And I wonder how important that is to us as a human being. And I think it's incredible that you've done it in the way that you have, with making the world a better place at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's very important. It's one of the most important things ever. You have to find a way to express yourself, because that's the only way, I feel like, that you actually get to know yourself. And just because you do certain things in your life doesn't mean that's who you are. I feel like that's just a part of your life. It might not be a part of who you are. In a sense, it is a part of who you are, whether, even if it's negative, it helped you get closer to who you really want to be. So I feel like, we have to find ways to express ourselves, just to, to be able to get to know ourselves in a more positive light. Because if we're not doing that, then we're just settling for who people want us to be, who your job wants you to be, and all these other different things. And that's more of a, a negative light to me. So I feel like, in order to express yourself in your own creative, unique way, it doesn't mean you have to create something that never existed. Like you said, it could be sports, it could be whatever, but that's just helping you learn how to, get closer to yourself. And there's nothing more important than that.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's great advice. My next question for you is, and this is something that I kind of debate with some friends about once in a while, and I actually learned this in my personal life. Of a lesson that I learned was, I like exercising. I love, like, even just for the mental health aspect, I love working out. I love going to the gym. And once upon in my life, a few years ago, I thought, I really like this. I should be doing this for a living. So I went and I got certified as a personal trainer. And I think I trained about 2 people. And I was like, wait a minute. No. I don't like training people. I like going in there, not talking to anyone, letting my aggression off. So
Right.
there's this kind of conversation where we're passionate about something, we're creative, we love doing something, but it doesn't always necessarily mean that is what we have to be doing all the time. Sometimes it's better just as a passion project or doing something on the side, but some people end up turning it into a real thing. I'm curious, since you've started this venture, which I'm sure is very exciting because this is a really great idea and it really is going to take you to higher places. Have you seen a new path for yourself moving forward that you're like, you know what, this has really opened up my eyes and I want to really move into this world? Or are you like, you know what, that was fun, I'm going to keep creating, keep doing, I know you got a young one that you're taking care of, which is 3 full-time jobs in itself, but are you starting to see, there's more here and this is kind of where I want to be headed? Or
I mean, it's as far as just the whole thing of creating something or developing like a product or a platform is what you mean?
Yeah, even just with this specific platform of working in like the movement area and being, activism and creating change. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's like, that's just a part of, I think that's a lifestyle more than anything. I feel like that's something I have to be in tune with, even if I didn't have this platform, I kind of feel like, my dad owns a barbershop and we, there's times we do food drives for people and stuff. And I just enjoy being a part of things like that. So either way, I want to do something that helps the community, help people, you know what I mean? It just makes you feel good. So, even if I can go to a random place where nobody knows me and feed the homeless, that's still going to help. That's going to make me feel good. So like, definitely, this is something that, definitely being able to connect with, it's comforting being able to connect with people who already has things in place that I can learn from and just kind of, find my position and how I can help with that. So that's why I'm big on like trying to connect with these organizations that already have things going on. I don't have to go hire no lawyers to help people. They have this stuff already figured out. I just got to be able to contribute or help, and help, link people to these resources. So absolutely, this is something I definitely plan to, elevate my activism game and just get more familiar with what it takes to, make a difference and make a change, a positive change. So definitely. And as far as like just producing or developing products in general, that's something that I found a niche in, So like even with this app, that's not the only product that I have that I'm developing. I have another impact. It doesn't really have to do anything with this cause, but I'm into like, like I said, I'm creative, but I found ways to, I learned the process of like actually, intellectual property and, patenting things and trademarking things and things like that. So, I've gotten into creating impactful products that I feel like can definitely just make a change regardless of what market it is or industry it is, so that's something I enjoy doing as well. So that's what I do, like outside of work and being a father and being a fiance, I work on just creating things and developing things. So
that's incredible. And now that you've been down that path, and it's funny because we had a brief chat before we started recording and I asked you if you actually developed the app yourself. And if you said yes, I'm like, man, I got 10 ideas. Let's go. Because it's like, that part of it. But even just having you been down the path now of creating it and going through that process, it's also a platform for you to help other people who also want to be creating these things. And it's incredible.
I look forward to that.
Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned, which I feel like I'm usually the only other person that says it, so I feel like I'm not so crazy now, but because you said it as well, but is sometimes you'll hear, if you give back and you spend time and you volunteer and you work with people who could use the help, you're so, people will say, oh, I'm too selfish to be this person or something like that. It's like, no. It's very selfish sometimes to be doing these things and giving back because it makes you feel incredible, just like you said. And I truly believe that. I think I went down the path of trying to make a lot of money and being successful, and it didn't make me happier. But when I traveled this path of making an impact and volunteering and helping make the world a better place, I feel better as a human being. And I really think the secret to happiness and fulfillment is giving back and serving people. And so there
Absolutely.
is a selfish aspect to it in a sense as well. And it's, I think that's a great motivator for people of like, look, it's not just like I have this thing necessarily inside of me where I'm this person who's just here to do better. It's like, actually, this makes me feel good as well. So it's
Right.
really
Right.
important that I think that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Um, as we get closer to the end here, I'm going to make sure that we get in here how we can find you and all that good stuff. But before we do that, I have one last question, which is for anyone who may be at a point in their life where they hit the fork in the road and they want to find out what they're passionate about or find their purpose or create something incredible or express themselves, but they're not there yet and they might be feeling stuck. What is your advice for this person?
Oh man. My advice would be to trust the process, right? Every day, like you said, you might trust the process of how your day goes, working out, walking outside, getting some fresh air. Allow, speak things out loud. Like you said, even if no one's there to hear you, speak things aloud. Trust that, the universe will communicate back with you in a way. You know what I mean? So just continue to focus your energy on what you want and manifest what you want, because that energy is real. So, you know, that's the best advice I can give to a person, because I feel like I said earlier on, knowledge of self, that'll lead you into whatever direction you're supposed to be on. You know what I mean? When you get to know yourself, rather than following a path, you should just follow yourself, and then I feel like you'll definitely end up on the right path that you're supposed to be on, inevitably.
Absolutely. And I caught traces of that through our conversation, even at the start when you were saying, everything that's led me up to this point has served a purpose and we learn from all of our experiences. I totally agree with that. I have no regrets for even the harder times in my life, which are what are responsible for who I am today and how I become the person I am. Because I always wasn't this person. I've been down the wrong path and I very easily could have continued down that path, but something happened and something guided me. This isn't me doing this work and whatever that
Absolutely.
thing might be. So I'm a firm believer in trusting the process as well. And there is something that is here that is pushing us in a direction that we want to go. And I think if we're living through resistance all the time, we need to listen to that, because once you get in line with what you should be doing, I find it's almost effortless. So that's
Absolutely.
Incredible advice for someone for sure. So
Definitely.
let us know how we can we're in Canada here, but there will be listeners from around the world. So let us know. And when you are bringing this to Canada, please let me know if there's anything I can do to help, and at least to get
definitely
to get awareness for it and everything we can do. But tell us how we can find the app, learn more about it, and connect with you personally if you want to give us that information and everything you're up to.
Okay. So on the App Store, you can just search us, the Bear Witness app. We actually started to pop up now, I guess, because so many subscribers are starting to just look us up. On Instagram, we are the Bear Witness app. Every handle across social media is the Bear Witness app. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok. We're getting used to using these social tools more. We're not so used to it in a business aspect, but we're definitely getting trying to get it together. Our website is bearwitnessapp.com. You can go there and learn a lot about us. You'll see all the buttons to lead you to our social media sites and just read up about what we're doing. And I encourage everybody to definitely tap in with us the best way that you know how, whatever platform that you use, just to stay connected and stay updated. We don't plan on going nowhere. We're definitely going to try to push this thing all the way to the top. So
nice. It's and this thing can change the world, but it's going to take us together to be in the communities together when people are using this app. So
Absolutely.
If we want to really make this thing what it give this thing the full potential that it has, we do need to get involved and do our part, which you've made it as simple as simply getting on the platform and just signing up and getting involved. So I just want to
also, it's free of charge, just to let everybody know.
Free of charge. Yeah. So no excuses. Yeah. Let's do our part. Yeah. And we don't know when you might be the person on that street when someone rings in, and maybe it never happens, and hopefully it doesn't. But if it does, it's that easy, and you've made it that easy. And I just want to say thank you for being the person you are and for stepping up to the plate to create this, because it is very easy to be the person on the sidelines and demand more from others, but to take that responsibility it just shows that you are another type of person for taking that ability on. So I just want to say thank you for that on behalf of the world, to make the world a better place. And
Thank you.
yeah, on that note, man, we will have you back on, because this thing's going to grow and I want to be involved when I see this at the top. So
can't wait, man. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk to you later. Peace.